Hey folks, today we're going to do a really easy, fun video on probably the simplest and easiest to make and master primitive hunting tool, and that's what I like to call the Wap Stick. So while it is kind of a goof video, it's actually really instructional because I've never seen anybody do a video on this, and it's extremely easy and extremely useful, and nobody ever mentions the stuff that doesn't take 14 years to make. Now, before all you bushcraft and survival guys got to go out and get a hard-on and make one of these to carry in your bushcraft set, this is not something that you build to carry around every day. It's a stick. So you don't spend 3 hours making a stick into a stick. You go out and you cut a piece of switch cane or just any sort of green flexible long shaft that's, maybe 3/8 in diameter. There's not a lot of math here to it. There's not a specific length. I don't know, 4 feet or so. It's hard to say. And why do I call it a wap stick? Because you whap shit with it. Now, there are a couple important things about the wap stick that you should know. Of course, a lot of people would just call it a switch, but a wap stick's funny, so that's what we're going to call it, a wap stick. So now, if you think about how a fly swatter works, the reason that a fly swatter works so well, besides the big pad on the end, is because of that really flexible little wire handle. And we're doing the same thing with this. It's very flexible, and the idea is we're not swinging it like a club, because that's not fast. It's a wrist motion like this. And mostly I rock it between my fingers and thumb like that, and that's how you get that whipping action. And it's extremely fast, and that's what you need if you're hunting small game. And you can reach out essentially as long as your arm is, and as long as your wap stick is, and it's pretty darn effective. So another thing to really keep in mind with this is it needs to be flexible, like pretty flexible. It doesn't have to be crazy flexible, but you need to be able to bend the thing because it's going to have to flex when it hits whatever you're hitting with it, or even on the ground. If you have a big stick, it has no flex and it has no speed. What we're looking here for is speed and flexibility. I'm going to show you why here in just 1 second. Alright, now while it is very basic and simple, there are a couple things here to remember to help out. You don't want a whole bunch of brush sticking on the end of this thing, but if you have a little extra twig or two, then it's going to increase its footprint a little bit. So let's pretend that that this is our prey that we're after, and you can stand back 4 or 5 feet and practice on a leaf in your yard. It's really that simple. It's not rocket science. So you're not going to aim for the tip to hit this. It's unnecessary. This is why you want a flexible stick, because you can shoot long and you have like a foot. By the time this flexes against the ground, it offers you about a foot worth of kill zone up and down. Now left to right you got to be kind of on, and it doesn't take a whole lot of practice. And you don't have to have a perfectly straight stick, but obviously the straighter the better. And this is why it needs to be flexible, but also needs to hold, a little bit of its rigid shape. You don't want a big old floppy noodle either. Not a wap stick. Not a wap stick. Not a wap stick. How many times have you watched one of the survival shows on TV, and there's somebody chasing a lizard around or a mouse around, and they've got a great big club that they just picked up off the ground, and they're jabbing at it, and they're chasing it, and they're swinging it, and they're missing, and the thing's breaking. It's all unnecessary. And you have to think, I know it's super, super simple to think about, but you're talking about calories burned versus calories gained in a survival situation. And this is what you want. It's very passive. You can be very still, let stuff walk up to you. You can just be in camp hanging out, and here comes Mr. Lizard in a tropical situation, and you just whap him, and you got him. And this would be extremely effective on small fish, small mammals. If you're flipping over logs, hunting mice that run out from underneath, you can actually hit stuff running with it pretty fast. Lizards, obviously, it's great. You can typically get 5 to 6, feet from a lizard, and be able to hit it with this thing. It's not difficult at all. And I know what somebody's going to say is, oh, you can just go catch lizards with your bare hand. Yeah, you can. And you can spend all day running around trying to catch a few, burning a shit ton of calories. Or you can just be passive, hang out with this here wap stick, and when they come walking into range, you're not burning any calories, you just whap the shit out of them. Now, I don't need to go around killing a whole bunch of shit to prove the effectiveness of this, but we are going to go out and we're going to do a little bit of a Cuban and knoll hunt, which is a little invasive brown lizard. and it's pretty common right around this area that I live, and they actually kill our local native anoles, and they aren't invasive species. So we're just going to get a couple of them, and I'm not going to eat them because I don't really care, but my cat here, Pete the cat, sweet kitty, he loves the things. So we're going to go ahead and just get a couple of them, and old Pete's going to get him a free meal out of it today. Okay, so super simple, right? There's nothing to it. It's kind of a fun little thing to joke around with. Just go out in the yard, cut a stick, practice on a leaf, and I know it seems so stupid, and everybody should be like, well, that makes so much sense, but then why has nobody mentioned anything about it? That's what I want to know. But anyway, practice for 2 minutes, see how good you are. You'll realize it's pretty darn easy, and remember, someday it could actually save your life. Alright, please subscribe to my channel to see all the future real hunts on real big game animals that we're going to be doing here in the future with primitive bows, arrows, atlatls, flintlocks, all that kind of cool stuff. And you can also find me at Gill's Primitive Archery on Facebook and Primitive Revival on Instagram. Thanks for following along, and be sure to subscribe because I hate to have to find you and whap the shit out of you.